where he's going to end up. One of those two schools. He wants to be in a BCS conference, the easiest conference to win in the Big East. So that's a likely
Forest,
destination.
Maybe.
Aubrey.
Or Wake Forest, Virginia, somewhere like that.
546-2148.
Aubrey has joined us. Aubrey, welcome to Out of Bounds.
Good morning, guys. How are you?
Good. Thanks for calling.
What about something along the lines of Purdue or in Indiana, a smaller school but a decent program where he could kind of recruit the Midwest, kind of tap into some of the South?
Yeah, Indiana's come up. Didn't think about Purdue.
And Purdue has more of a tradition than Indiana.
They really do.
We have been going on the assumption that he is probably not willing to go to a part of the country he hasn't recruited heavily, which obviously the West and Midwest, he hasn't been out there. But I suppose there's no reason for us to eliminate it if he hasn't.
Joe Tiller, a guy who has had some success at Purdue with the wide open offenses that Philip Fulmer has not really been fond of, but probably if you could dominate Indiana, you could probably dominate Indiana, the university, in recruiting. So maybe
that may be a good pick there, Aubrey.
Does the weather matter? Do you think?
Does the weather matter?
Is the weather a factor for Fulmer and his wife?
I think he's got plenty of insulation.
Yes,
so
he
he's
does.
worried about cold.
Yes, he does. And
he could always go take that. I thought about maybe Georgia Tech. That way he's in the South, but he's not in the SEC. He gets to battle Georgia.
Yes.
But I don't know if that would be a good place for him or not.
I think it's going to have to be next year because he's ready to get back into coaching. So it's as soon as the job opens up, he'll probably let him know he's interested if it's a job that he would be interested in. Georgia Tech, Paul Johnson had some great success last year in his first year. He's probably going to be there for a while.
Yeah.
It would be a good job for him, but I don't think it's going to be available.
Yeah. They have a tradition of pounding teams from Tennessee over there at Georgia Tech. Rest in peace, Cumberland College.
Paul Johnson
fired, then maybe he can take Georgia.
Boy,
it's tough.
Georgia wouldn't take him. Georgia wouldn't take him.
They wouldn't take him.
Why? He beat Georgia frequently.
He did own Georgia.
That's what I'm saying. I mean,
until Rick got there.
Yeah, the same reason that Florida wouldn't take him might be the reason Georgia would.
He would take Georgia in a heartbeat.
Right.
Of course he would take that job in a heartbeat.
I'm still liking West Virginia. I'm still liking Wake Forest. In the Big Ten, in Indiana, or I didn't think about Purdue.
Are you a major shot in the arm if you're Phil Fulmer and you go to a place like Georgia? Do you suddenly elevate that program beyond where it was?
No.
If you go to a place like Purdue or go to an ACC school or a Big East school, do you suddenly elevate that program to a place where it was not previously? Possibly you could, which I think is what he wants.
To say what you want to say about Coach Fulmer, I mean, the guy's,
and we will,
750 winning percentage. I keep going back to 151 and 50.
There's a lot of
He's got a national championship ring. He's got several SEC championships or whatever. How could you not?
Well,
because he's boring.
If he's not listening to the show, it's because he's having trouble flipping on that radio because of that big ring in his hand.
Yeah.
So, there you go. He has something most people would love to have and don't.
All right, Aubrey, we're going to put you down for Purdue then. Is that all right?
Thanks, guys. I appreciate
Thanks
it.
for the call, Aubrey. 546-2148. Phil Fulmer wants back into coaching. Where do you see him going? What's available? Nothing's available. Everybody's got a coach right now.
So somebody's going to have to do something bad if there's going to be a coaching job this year.
Farragut High School.
Either somebody's going to get fired, and that gets him in the door early so where he can start recruiting. If it's a situation where somebody leaves, they're probably not going to leave till the end of the season, which means he's going to be behind the 8 ball, behind in recruiting.
Well, nobody would fire anybody to get Philip Fulmer, correct? Nobody.
I don't think so.
At least
something
other than Tennessee. Oh, you mean during the season?
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
Yeah, not anybody except
Tennessee. You're not going to fire anyone during the season if you don't have to, because it looks bad. It's bad for recruiting and all that sort of good stuff. Like I say, somebody's going to have to make a few laps around the track with Jeremy Mayfield to get fired as a head coach this year, and that's not going to happen.
But we have effectively narrowed it down to the ACC and the Big East. His best chances to win are in the ACC or in the Big East.
A couple of schools in the Big Ten, possible. He doesn't mind.
Maybe.
What about a Memphis?
Conference-
Tommy West gets fired.
Huh.
Conference USA is
Conference
not a
USA?
big time conference.
No.
I think
No.
you got to take that out.
BCS bid? No.
No.
Those are schools that would probably consider it.
Again, yeah, they
I
are
think that's-
schools that would
He
consider
would
it.
not consider them if he wants to go to a big time nationally recognized conference, which he said he does. So the Big East is the easiest to win. That's where I'm putting him. I'm putting him in the Big East 2010.
You got to put him in the ACC with a couple of exceptions. The right job has to open up the right school in the ACC.
Plus, there's some big hitters in the ACC
Yeah,
that you are immediately up against.
Yeah.
Not so much.
Butch Davis is at North Carolina.
Who played in the
got
conference
the-
championship last year? Virginia Tech and
I don't even know.
Wake Forest, maybe.
Was it?
Yeah, I think that's right.
The
Those-
fact, the
Wake
fact. I
Forest?
mean, you have Virginia Tech, and then there's some other schools down there that you're going to see on a fairly regular basis that that are trying to do the same thing. You've got Florida State trying to bring themselves back to their once greatness. Miami's trying to do the same thing, and so it's not the wasteland that certain other conferences are. In spite of the fact that they have BCS bids, we don't want to mention any names, but you're going to put Cincinnati in a BCS bowl.
His dude is at Duke, right? Cutcliffe is at
Right.
Duke. Wake Forest.
Butch Davis is going to be at North Carolina next year. Tom O'Brien's going to be at NC State next year.
Boston.
I would say Frank Spaziani at Boston College. He's probably going to be there next year.
Yeah.
Dabo Sweeney is one that might not be there next year if he's an interim coach that doesn't work out.
Are we back in
Correct.
best names?
Dabo Sweeney.
Dabo Sweeney, no relation to Van Lingle Mungo.
South Carolina. I'm sorry. Dabo Sweeney.
Cutcliffe obviously is going to still be there. So I think your only options there, really, if Jim Grove leaves, he's been mentioned for jobs in the last couple of years. If he finally gets that job that he wants to leave for, Wake Forest might be an opportunity. Virginia an opportunity. But I still keep going back to the Big East as the most likely scenario. The weather, obviously, a little better in the ACC.
West Virginia or Cincinnati. Probably.
And it may be that he's not their first choice.
Louisville's not in this conversation at all.
Steve Cragthorpe, maybe it isn't. He is. Maybe Louisville is in there.
I think
Probably depends on how their season goes this year.
well, it depends mainly on how much after Arkansas coach
Petrino.
left.
Yes.
And this new guy.
He has not been able to sustain.
No.
Yeah, they were favored, had arms, had quarterbacks, had talent, did not get it done.
Snellenberger's coach there. Petrino's had success there. Louisville's not too far.
Snellenberger was not a young pup when he went.
No, he wasn't. And I think Louisville gets maybe,
Maybe Fulmer is a second choice for somebody.
He's
Maybe
the
he's
last. He's the last. We ought to have a reality show called Last Coach Standing. We'll take him.
Or last school standing.
Last
the loser
school
gets
standing.
stuck with Philip Fulmer.
Yeah, how many? There are too many schools out there that would love to get stuck with a guy with a 750 winning percentage in the national championship.
Yeah, not a lot. There were a few. I don't think there's anybody out there wringing their hands going, boy, I hope he's still available.
There's a lot.
You
but
know
there's
what,
not the
though?
ones he wants to go to, though.
Yeah, there will be several who will want him, and you have to admit we're probably jaded by our location here
Of course.
because of all the negative that we heard about Philip Fulmer over the last couple of years that other schools didn't hear.
Yeah.
Schools outside of the immediate SEC and outside, Florida, yeah, they relished in it. Alabama loved it. Georgia was just, happy to be in the game against us. But the ACC schools, the Big East schools, they weren't sitting there going, yeah, this Fulmer guy, he's obviously lost it. You show up with that winning percentage and a ring, and people will talk to you.
That should get you a job somewhere.
It'll at least get you in the door.
Be interesting to see if the CBS pregame tailgate show has increased ratings this year by adding Coach Phil.
We will find out and report on that.
Yeah,
I don't
I think you're gonna have to do more with personalities than Philip Fulmer to increase the ratings for a pregame show. I'm a college football junkie. I don't watch pregame shows.
Actually, there's really not one on usually because of the
I just
game that's on before it.
watch Game Day and just get all of it. I mean, Game Day